Hey, what's up guys? So welcome back to this video series here all about the Bitaxe. Now in the first part of this video series we covered, well, what is a Bitaxe in the first place. So you can go ahead and check out that video. I'll put the button up on screen and you can watch that if you haven't done so already. And in this video we're going to go into a little bit more detail covering, well, why might you want to run a Bitaxe like this here for yourself. Now, in my mind, I find that there's three main reasons why I like to run one and why you might want to run one as well. Now, for me, the main reason is actually has to do with Bitcoin decentralization, specifically the decentralization of the mining itself. Now, you guys probably know there's a bunch of different miners all around the world, and a lot of them are actually coming together in different mining pools. And what we're finding is, well, there's a number of really big mining pools out there, and because of that, there now starts to become some potential risk to Bitcoin when it comes to, well, maybe Bitcoin censorship, transaction censorship, for example. So if they wanted to, the different mining pools could then start to collude and say, hey, maybe we want to approve these transactions, but not those ones. And there's a whole discussion on that, of course, that you can check out online. But either way, that, of course, brings up concerns of like, hey, is Bitcoin going to continue to be open and available to everybody or not? You know, is it truly permissionless? And unlike traditional Bitcoin miners, which cost thousands of dollars and use a ton of electricity, if you want, you can help by getting a small Bitcoin miner here like this, such as the Bitaxe. Now, one Bitaxe here like this is really not going to do anything, but when you start having millions of these all around the world, that starts to change things, you know? This is definitely going to start to add some significant hash rate as a lot of people start to pick these up and use them. Additionally, because chances are if you're running one of these, I mean, one miner like this takes about the same amount of electricity as a light bulb. For that reason, you're not really concerned about the cost of electricity, and it's not a big deal to leave this running 24/7, regardless of what happens to the Bitcoin hash price, to the cost of electricity, the Bitcoin price, etc. You just leave it running no matter what. And so for that reason, as more and more people pick these up and really don't care about, you know, the costs of running it, I mean, you wind up getting more and more decentralized hash rate all around the world that is price agnostic, that doesn't care about the cost of electricity. And so if you're a fan of Bitcoin and its permissionlessness, you can now directly help contribute to the decentralization of mining by picking up some miners like this without having to spend an arm and a leg on the cost of the miners and the electricity and dealing with all the noise and everything else that comes with having a traditional full-fledged Bitcoin miner. Next, there's the second reason why you might want to run a miner here like this, and that has to do with, well, earning Bitcoin, with making money. And there's two ways that you can actually do that. One is to do a traditional thing where you're earning some sats every day. The second way to do it is by basically treating this as like a lottery miner where you can actually hope to win the entire Bitcoin block yourself. Now, you can set it up as a traditional miner where you're earning some sats every day, and I'll cover how that works in future videos, as well as how you actually connect to different pools, how you set up lightning wallets and all that kind of stuff. So I'll cover that in future videos. So you can set it up that way, but you're not really going to earn that much Bitcoin, realistically speaking. You do earn some non-KYC sats, which is very nice, but for most people, it's probably not even going to cover the cost of electricity, not to mention the cost of the Bitaxe itself. And so if you're doing it from home, you can do it for fun and earn some sats. I played around with it. I'll cover that in future videos. But if you want to maybe set it up as a lottery miner, it's actually possible to where you can run this and earn the entire Bitcoin block yourself. Now, realistically speaking, statistically, that's very unlikely. However, it is possible, and believe it or not, has already been done before. There is somebody who was running a Bitaxe like this. They were running the Bitaxe Ultra, which is actually a lower power, less expensive version than this, and they actually solved the Bitcoin block and earned an entire Bitcoin reward, which currently is 3.125 Bitcoin plus the mining fees for that block. And so while the odds of this happening are very low, if you do win, well, you win the entire block reward. So as a lottery miner, this can be a fun way to actually get it up and running, in addition to just running it to help support the Bitcoin network itself. And then third, I find that because this is an open source project, if you want to get involved, there's a lot of options that are available here. Now, with the miner itself, you can get involved with like tweaking, you know, overclocking, playing with different cooling options and whatnot. So if you want to like customize it, you can definitely do that. The operating system for the Bitaxe is AxeOS. It's an open source project, and so if you want to get involved with testing or development or bug reports or anything like that, that's all available online too. You can check out the GitHub page for the project, which I'll link below. And there's also a nice Discord group which you can jump into if you'd like to get more involved and maybe test some new firmware versions or discuss upcoming projects, etc. And as for those different projects, I've talked about some of them in the first video going over different models of the Bitaxes with different numbers of chips internally to give you higher hash rates and more hash power. There's also projects with people playing with immersion cooling. So instead of using fans and air cooling, you can actually do immersion cooling to keep the Bitaxe cooler and crank up those hash rates and run it with much higher hash rates. People have been connecting them to solar panels and even creating special housings that let you pop in a Bitaxe and connect it to a solar panel so that you can easily set it up and get your Bitaxe running off the grid. And these are just a few examples. Because the whole thing is open source, you can experiment with whatever it is that you want to do and kind of build something yourself. And so there's a lot of possibilities that are coming out now to extend this beyond just, well, a miner that you plug in and maybe hopefully mine a block or collect a few sats a day. And so if this sounds fun and interesting, down in the video description below, I'll link to where you can order a Bitaxe or several for yourself as well. There's a variety of sellers all around the world. And then in the next video here in this Bitaxe video series, we're going to cover, well, once you've got your Bitaxe, how do you set it up and get it running? So with that said, let's continue on with part 3 of this video series, going over how to set up your Bitaxe.